Second verse, same as the first. More awesome, hilarious, unpredictable, gory fun from Carl, Princess Donut, and yes, little Mr. Mongo. Book number 2 in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. It is Carl's Doomsday Scenario. Now, if you've read the first one, which I assume you have if you're watching this, if you read the first one and you absolutely loved it, what are you doing here? Go read this right now. Go on. See you later. Yes, come back for spoilers. Yeah, if you loved it, go read this one because it's more of the same and it's fantastic. Now, if you're on the fence, maybe you read that first one and you're like, I don't know about this video game RPG, just in a dungeon the whole time. Let me try to persuade you to pick up this second one. Yes, the first one was heavy on tutorials and explaining a whole lot of things, kind of like menial beginner things, but they had to, right? It's about survival. They've got to know all they can know. This second one definitely changes pace. Now, this is the non-spoiler part, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I do want to give you a general idea of what you're getting into if you do decide to pick up this second one. The first 2 levels were just kind of like a bland, generic dungeon. When they pop out into the 3rd level, it's an actual city, and it's actually called Overcity. Now, it's not huge, but it is like a town. That's what it felt like in my head, an actual town. So after they get done, you know, at the end of the first one, they're talking about how they get to choose their race and their class. They do that, and then they get to go into Overcity, which has, you know, actual city places in it. Now, it's not too far to get outside of the city and get out there and start mixing it up with the mobs. So, how is this book really different? This book actually incorporates some quests. And so what you're doing here, it's not just like random survival, trying to make it to the next level, just trying to level up, power up, and explore, you know, your own powers and what you can create. They actually have storylines with NPCs in here. So they go around, you know, it's just random people that they meet up with, talk to them, and they say, hey, what's going on with you? Bing! Quest discovered. They don't have to accept every quest, but you know, Carl and Donut, they can't stop thinking about it. Some of these people they talk to and they're like, well, I don't know, they kind of said. And Mordecai's like, stop, no, don't do quests, stop it, ignore that. But they can't help themselves. They're curious, and you know, if there's people in need, they want to help them. So it is quest in more like mini stories that take up this book. So there's not as much as kind of the like frantic insanity of just like popping into boss battles and be like, oh my goodness, what do we do? Just run, throw stuff. No, they actually have to think about some things in this quest, because the quest can either be like, you got to kill someone, you got to find an item, you got to take an item to someone, or maybe you have to figure out what's going on with this NPC. It's kind of like a mystery, and you got to be a detective and figure it out. So it's really quite interesting and fun. The first one is pretty weird. The second one, well, it's also weird. I tell you what, man, I don't know how Mr. Matt Ditterman thinks of these, not only the scenarios, but the environments, or how he decides what they're going to come across. Because the things he thinks up and that they see, and you're just like, man, where did this come from? This is nutso. I'll give you, I got to talk about one mob. One mob, it's not a big deal. But in this one, you know, in the first one, we got the llamas shooting fireballs. They got like a lava sack on their throat. This one, they get charged after by a giraffe. And hanging all over the giraffe's long neck are lemurs. And the giraffe can kind of swish his head around, swirl it around, and launch the lemurs like a trebuchet or catapult. It's like, what are you thinking when you're writing this stuff? Yeah, of course we get a couple more talk shows. What else can I tell you about you remember the Skull Empire? He went on that big punk maestro show in the first book. Well, the Skull Empire has something to say in this book, so there's a little bit to do with that. You definitely learn more about what's going on outside of the dungeon in the universe, more things to ponder. You learn a lot more about upcoming levels. Mordecai is able to give more tips about that. You meet a different type of NPC called an elite. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. So yeah, overall, it's more of the same, but a little different. In my first review, I was a little worried about how do you keep this fresh. Eventually, the newness is going to wear off. And again, with some of the things, they kind of skip over. Oh, I got some loot boxes. I got this, or I got notifications, but I kind of swiped them away. We'll just check them later. So yeah, he does a good job of keeping it fresh. This is very different, a different feel from the first one, and I'm eager to see what he's going to do for the third one now, keeping it fresh still. So I think that's really all I can say for no spoilers. More of the same. If you like the first one, you're going to love this one. If you're on the fence, maybe too gamey, this one does have more stories. Yeah, I think that's about it. So if you want to go check it out and read it, please do. Please come back and check out the spoiler section, which we are going to do right now. Now. Yeah, spoilers. Okay, so let's talk about spoilers. Let me put this down somewhere. I don't have a place to put it down. I'll put it on my Lego set over here, if it'll hold, and I'll whip out my phone because, of course, I got notes for all this. Let's talk about this insane book. Very glad that it was a change of pace, doing the 2 quests. Well, I didn't know what to expect with this. We're reading the first one with the signet, and it just kept going and going. I'm like, man, this is already like 70 pages in a 350-page book. But I guess that's what it was. It's basically just a 2-quest book. But they show up in the Overcity. They first choose the racing class. Let me slow down. The racing class. I was a little disappointed. I thought it would be more of a to-do with Donut choosing something ridiculous, or maybe something fine that fit her, but then Carl would have to pick something ridiculous to offset it. But it kind of went off, without incident. Yeah, Mordecai had that moment where he got really ticked off at him, but then he was fine after that. So yeah, it was a kind of a non-deal there. So there is that. And then they show up, though. What was I going to say? They show up in the Overcity. And what was it here? Mordecai immediately goes out and gets drunk. And when they pop into that first safe house, and he pops up, does he have his pants down? And he's talking to like girls. Maybe he even has some like grandmas in there with him. And then what? It says he vomits and he falls down and lays in it. Oh. It just right off the bat with the insanity. It was great. So let's get to the whole circus area. And this is what I was talking about, how he comes up with this stuff. I'm just so impressed because, it's not like he's coming up with anything novel, right? A circus tent with a big clown face for the entrance, but you're just to insert it there for no reason, or like a giant dead whale / Loch Ness monster carcass that you jump on and it explodes. I mean, kudos to this guy for what he writes. I do see a little tangent. He's got some, I forget what this new book is coming out soon, but it just makes me want to read more of his stuff. I love the way he thinks and the ideas come out of nowhere. So this circus quest, it was pretty cool. That lady with the tattoos, and she can, with the blood or whatever, get them out there. But of course, first we fight the bear, Heather, with all the worm things. And it just kind of reminded me, tiny spoiler alert, if you've never read The Troop, which I mentioned in my book haul, these worm things kind of reminded me of what was going on in that book. But those worms, it was a skeleton, right? Basically the outline of the bear were the worms, which is just absolutely insane. And he uses that... his lotto ticket. It's either the custard or the fireball, and of course it's like, yummy custard, poof! But then unexpectedly, it turns Heather back to her natural state. She's very thankful, and you're like, oh man, this is going to be a nice little thing. Of course, he has to kill her, and then we get into the main deal with Signet and the Vine guy. I forgot his name. Remus? No, that's not it. I'm thinking Remus and Romulus. I think that was somebody else. I can't remember this guy's name. This story, I didn't write this in my notes. I kind of forgot what it was about, how they were family or friends, but when the thing went off and everybody got poisoned or affected, I don't know. That whole thing was just kind of weird to me exactly. Like when he comes out, he poisons the vine and then unpoisons it, and then, he eats the worms, the ice cream cone. And he goes out, has them talking to each other. Was it just me? Did I read too fast and didn't really get what was going on there or how that was solved? I don't know. That was a little weird to me, and I was disappointed because I was expecting madness because he was supposed to knock down the three main poles in the tent, and he said one was looked like it was made out of popsicle sticks. So I was expecting something cool. Was really looking forward to it, and then it just turned out being a talk. And you're like, oh, that was anticlimactic. But of course, then we get to the next part where he sees that ogre, Gum Gum, who is loading up ladies of the night, their body all twisted and mangled up. And of course, can't let that quest just be. He has to go and check it. Oh, I guess they were going to let it be, but then Mongo, that guy had that, was it like a fresh meat or burnt meat spell? And then Mongo chased him down in the alleyway. And that elf was so confident, wasn't he? He's like, I'm the one who's going to destroy you. You have met your match with. And then he just kind of Indiana Jones him and kicks him in the crotch. He's like, you lost some viewers there. That was kind of a dirty move. He's like, oh, what else was I supposed to do? And then we get just these weird creatures. The one with the head with like all their stuff hanging out. And a weird quest. What was going on with Miss Quill and what was his name? Featherhall, Featherbean, something. Another one that was kind of weird. I don't know. Both quests to me, they were just odd to me. Maybe I just something's wrong with me. I couldn't wrap my head around them perfectly. How she was like, it wasn't like over generations they were building this stuff up, and then finally she was going to release all her plans and everything. I don't know. It was kind of weird. It did have quite the climactic end, though, huh? Let me look through here. Before we get to the finish, let's talk about the talk show. The first one, he's on with that singer with the snake head and the princess, and it's kind of weird sometimes when he's out somewhere and he mentions something that Mordecai said. He's like, "Oh, Mordecai told me to do this," and you're like, "When did Mordecai say that?" And then he kind of like we have like a replay of a conversation they had before. That's happened a few times, and it kind of throws me off because he was talking about how Mordecai said he should start to nudge and poke at the Skull Empire. I'm like, when did they talk about that? And then they had that little flashback about their conversation. So that took some getting used to. But he really went off. He didn't just poke and prod. He said, basically told the people, if you don't like who's above you, riot and rise up and take your country or world, whatever, back. And it's just like, oh, geez. And then the retaliation. And then, I forget, I didn't write it in my notes, who shot the Skull Empire ship, killed Maestro and his mother. And then, I guess the repercussions for that, it sounds like, was it Zev who was telling them, or maybe Odette, that the Skull Empire might sponsor a deity in a future level. A deity that Carl, with his glove, he's not supposed to kill any of their worshippers or minions, or else it'll summon it. So that's going to be interesting to look forward to. And also the whole deity thing. You know, in this one, we got the elite NPCs, like Signet, right? Where are they good? Are they bad? Are they going to kill me? Are they going to leave me alone? And the answer to everything is yes. Be careful. So yeah, the deity thing, that's going to be interesting to check out later. We learned about Ferdinand, whose real name was Gravy Boat, who is spraying his seed all over the neighborhood. and he's the reason why Donut jumped out that night. So that was kind of funny. And then we get Katya from Hekla's group. And we got a whole kind of mysterious thing there about Hekla is going to want Donut to join her party. Is Katya there as a spy? So I don't know how I feel about this new person joining in and not being able to trust them. That's going to be kind of weird. I was a little worried when they were outside and those kids who were playing around the guards, and the one had the little salamander on the stick. And when things went nuts there and they kind of grabbed that kid, for some reason I thought, oh no, don't make this kid like join their party and be a part of the book. I don't know, that kind of felt kind of wrong. Glad that didn't happen. So let's see here. Let's get to the end, where they have to go to the magistrate's house. They got to find out what's happening to these ladies. Because we had the interesting part where they're in the safe house or the wherever they were, and they're talking to each other, and he's like, "We're gonna find out who's doing this, who's responsible." And then you hear "thump," and they find the body, and on the back is carved into the skin, "No, you won't." And you're like, "What in the world is going on here?" Turns out it's that little bloody scroll. How does he think of these things? I love it. All right, so we get to the magistrate's place, and one of my favorite things, or something that you just know is going to cause chaos and something you don't expect, is when Carl decides, I'm just going to blow stuff up. He's like, I'm going to plant bombs, or I'm going to put bombs on this cart and just push it out there, and we're just going to see what happens. I think this is going to happen, but that's never what happens, is it? And so when he just lobs bombs over it, it's just, and the whole building goes up. I think one across the street, the front face kind of collapses. It's just craziness every time he does that. I love it. It's just an awesome point of unpredictability that's going to happen in the story. Now, when we get in there, I was not expecting to see a bunch of bodies hanging upside down like a meat locker. You know, it got kind of creepy and dark real quick with that. That was kind of crazy stuff. We learned about Quill's husband, and at first I thought maybe he was an undead being. I don't know what the deal is with there. We get to meet him over, of course, in the other building, and he kind of gives this like a long soliloquy. Don't interrupt, don't interrupt. But yeah, so we get that kind of whole thing, and man, how I do like they kind of add that video game thing in there where he's like, you know, when you're walking along, you see kind of like this sparkle, this bling bling, and you're like, oh, what was that? There's probably something over there I should get. So that's what happened with that little case. And man, he gets so lucky with stuff, right? Where he's gonna wait for the last moment to put it in that box to where it's like 3/10 of a second after it explodes to just like contain the power. And now he's got that in his inventory. Nutso, nutso. But then we get the real fun. I do like it though. I was like, hey, yeah, that's the quest, but no, not really. There's a secondary part, and now all these other crawlers around you, you can all thank Carl for your impending death. And just running around with all the magic items, and of course, Carl's just freeballing out there. The best part though, they get to the stairway with the fourth floor, and he had to have said it like right as they're going through, right? Just like with the first book, Donut throws a line in there right at the last moment. Remember the first one where they were talking about that giant goblin thing? Carl's like, "Did you see it? Did you see it?" And he's like, "Yeah." He was sitting there all fat and ugly, just reading his book. Good. Beep. And there were lots of babies too. God damn it, Donut. This one, I should look this up. But right at the last moment, where they're just like, you know, we're going straight to the show, right? Bloop! And he's got no pants on. I was kind of hoping, because is that the epilogue on her show? And I thought he's just going to be sitting there with his hands. Good stuff, good stuff. What else can we talk about? Oh, the bounty. We see the leaderboard with our heroes in the top 10. There's a bounty. It's 100,000 for each of them, right? And 1,000,000 for that girl with the dog. So that's going to be interesting. One fear I have is this turning into like The Walking Dead, and it's just people against people. You know, you get your group, and yeah, we'd have these encounters with other groups, and they almost become more dangerous than the dungeon itself. So I hope that doesn't happen. I guess one book maybe is bound to be like that, but hopefully it's not a continued thing. Let the dungeon and the mobs be the star in that. So let's talk about, well, let's do the Pineapple Cabaret before I go to questions, predictions. Pineapple Cabaret. Last time we were with Rory, and she discovered, oh, I have a name. Why don't other people have her name? And she got pulled out of the dungeon. What's going on? This time we're with Grandma Llama, and we learn why these things are being pulled out. They have names. They're a bit more intelligent than most of the other mobs, and they're going to be tasked with designing the 17th level. And when they get there, because the crawlers are going to have to fight all the mobs they fought up until that point, but they're going to be strengthened in reverse order. So I'm assuming that means like Grandma Llama and Rory are just going to be massively overpowered. That'll be interesting. Yeah. So I do like those little pineapple cabaret things. I guess if they're all gonna be sticking together, we'll kind of get a continuous story with that. So that'll be good. Let's see what else. The theme floors, like I talked about last time, it seems like that's going to be a thing because Mordecai talked about a jungle level, right, with him and Odette. So the in-game deities, we kind of talked about that. What's that gonna be about? Is it just like, do sponsors create those? Does the game create those? I think there was a point where they mentioned gods, right? Gods in the game. I don't know if that's the same thing, but like I said, does the AI create them? Do people sponsoring create them? The level 6 is supposed to be a volcano. Did I catch that right? I don't know what that is. But level 4, we're going to get the tables, right? I forget the name of all the tables, but then, so we should start getting more and more interesting things that Carl makes, which I still don't understand how this guy, Carl, and our author Matt keep all this stuff straight. The inventory is huge. That's one of the problems, in games. I hate restrictive inventories or ones that are restricted with weight. The great thing about unlimited ones, you can just pick up everything, but then you forget what you have. So I do like that they keep saying that Carl will organize them based on value. So then he's like, oh yeah, I have that, I have that. So yeah, smart move, smart move. And again, how are they going to keep things fresh? We talked about probably crawlers fighting each other for a little bit. That's going to be something. Well, I guess that's it. That's it for now. This book was good. I read it in 2 days. I finished Mistborn on a Sunday morning. And then Sunday afternoon at like 3 o'clock, I picked up this one, read half of it. And then Monday, even with work, I read the other half and finished the book. So you can pick this up on a weekend. Oh, you already know. You've already read it. We're in spoilers. All right. Let me know what you think down below. Book number 3. I have it. I don't know when I'm going to read it. I started doing more research on this and saw he wants 10 books in the series, which at this pace means what? The last one will come out in 2029. The 8th one is supposed to come out early or June. Did I say January or June of 2026? So I'm going to have to slow roll these. I want to read them so bad. But yeah, I'm thinking maybe the next one I might read at the end of September or mid-October in the middle of spooky month. So we'll see. Anywho, let me know your thoughts down below. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. More Mistborn will be coming up the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned and I will see you then. Bye.